Over my past 20 plus years in construction, I have spent tens of thousands of dollars probably on work gear that just didn't serve the purpose and ended up in the dumpster or just not being used. And in this video, I'm gonna talk about where you can skimp and where you should spend with workwear. Welcome, I'm Carl Murawski. Now the first thing you should definitely spend money on, no surprise, is your boots. Now, this really does sort of depend. You'll find with all of these is a little bit of a caveat. It will depend on what you're doing, how hard you are in your gear, because you just can't paint every trade with the same brush. Now, when I was a mechanic, I never bought expensive boots, and I still wouldn't recommend that somebody who works with gear oil or solvents, stuff like that, does buy a pair of very expensive boots. They're simply just gonna get destroyed. So something like that, I could see where you buy a decent set of boots that are supportive and offer you the comfort that you want, but ultimately they're gonna be trashed and nasty at the end of a year, so you throw them away. And I have a whole video breaking down how to pick the best work boots for your needs, so if you haven't checked that out, you can go see that. The next thing you should definitely spend on is base layers. Base layers, socks, things like that. They're gonna be a little bit more expensive than their cotton counterparts, but if you go with wool or a synthetic, you're gonna have a better experience overall, and they'll last a lot longer. I've told the story many times before, but I'm gonna tell it again. I bought my first pair of Darn Tough Vermont wool socks probably 15 years ago. And I think until recently, I still had those things. And I only noticed after a while that, boy, these wool socks don't seem to be wearing out. I'd be throwing out cotton ones like crazy, and these ones just stuck around, quietly serving their purpose. This is a place where you don't have to spend a ton, but it does help to spend a little bit more than you may be used to. Pants are a place where you're gonna wanna spend a little no matter what. Don't go with the bottom of the barrel junk. I actually did that for a long time, and not only would I end up tearing through them and then they would just be wasted, but they also didn't serve the purposes that I need. Dedicated workwear will have all the stuff that you want. They'll even have places to put in built-in knee pads. They'll have reinforcements where you need them. They'll have little pockets where you can stick tools and stuff like that. So if they're really made for the purpose, the user experience is gonna be a lot better. This is also gonna depend on what you do. If you're just murder on pants, this is where you don't wanna spend a ton of money just to keep spending that money every month or every few months to replace them. But you're gonna wanna spend a little, at least to get something that is job site appropriate. Outerwear and rain gear. This is where you should spend if you work outside. If you're working inside, I don't think you should spend at all. I think it's a place you could definitely skimp, because even crummy work jackets, like we had terrible work jackets issued to us when I worked as a mechanic. Matter of fact, I'm even surprised that I wore them back then. They weren't warm at all, they were basically junk, and they were still okay, because for the most part, being a mechanic, you'd go outside to get a car, but then you'd bring it right back into your bay. So we really didn't need it that much. So for somebody like that, or if you're doing interior finish work, or you're more or less going from your truck to the job, you don't have to spend a whole ton of money on outerwear. But if you're somebody who is outdoors most of the time, you're gonna wanna spend in this area, for sure. And as I've discussed before, a good shell layer will shed off wind, it'll keep you dry, it's gonna be the thing that protects you from the outside elements, and it'll also help keep you warm. So rain gear, outerwear, if it's a part of your kit and you're using it every single day outside, definitely spend the money for the good stuff. If you're working indoors, don't worry, this is a good place that you can skimp. PPE, or personal protective equipment, most of the time has to be issued to you from your employer. Spending a little on your PPE isn't a bad thing, especially when it comes to comfort. Like, most companies will issue you glasses like these. They're plastic, they have a Z87 rating, but they don't have anything as far as comfort goes. So a lot of times I'll get the more expensive ones like these. I mean, Crossfire is a company that I've been using for a while, but I mean, any company offers these where you have actual nose pads, you have polarized lenses. They're like 20, 30 bucks, so they're not crazy expensive, but they're just a little bit more comfortable. And if you're gonna be wearing them all day, every day, treat yourself. Now, oftentimes what the employer does is they will issue you the cheapest stuff that they possibly can that will still be within compliance, right? So that means safety goggles that probably fog up like crazy and are not comfortable, hard hats that are, the bottom of the barrel. But if you want something that's just a little bit better, it doesn't cost that much more. This is a place where you'd say, well, why would I spend anything more than I absolutely have to? There's actually a whole segment right now of fancy PPE that really costs a lot of money. Pit Viper is one that comes to mind. I see a lot of guys wearing these Pit Viper safety glasses. They're expensive for what you get. And if that's your thing and it makes you happy, go for it, but I don't think this is a place that you need to spend at all. Unless you want something that's just a step above what you need to be issued, this isn't a place that I would put my hard-earned cash. All right, places that you can skimp. T-shirts for sure. Now, you could get some really nice t-shirts. For example, the Nyko 1620 shirts are awesome. No melt, no drip. They're also about, I think, 30 bucks, something like that. You know, you don't have to spend that kind of money. You could wear almost anything. I mean, I see people wearing all kinds of shirts at work, and the idea is that they're cheap, they're gonna get destroyed, and I'm not gonna spend a lot of money on them, and you really don't have to. If you're somebody who likes to wear hoodies at work, also don't spend a lot of money. Even a cheap hoodie will keep you decently warm. Now, you can buy great hoodies, that's for sure, but this is a place that if you don't have to spend, a cheaper version will do most of what an expensive version will do.
Now, I say that you shouldn't buy an expensive hoodie, but that kind of comes with one exception, and that's if you wear one all the time. Now, you could do several things. You could buy a bunch of cheap ones, or you can buy a couple really good ones. For example, 1620 has one with Cordura lining the sleeves and on the kangaroo pouch, so they don't go bad as quick. So as with most of these things, if it's a major part of your kit, get the good one.
Hats and beanies are another place that you can skimp. I mean, you can get those Carhartt hats you see everywhere for something like 20 bucks. They keep you warm. If they get dirty, you throw them away. This is kind of a consumable. Hi-Vis vests probably fall under the category of PPE. Now, I actually bought a Hi-Vis vest that had a few more pockets in it and stuff, and it really wasn't worth the price. Honestly, I mean, I probably should have just kept the one that my company issued me, put it on the top of whatever else I was wearing, because Hi-Vis stuff can get expensive, and you know, if you're gonna pay for it, you gotta make sure it's in compliance, and a lot of companies want you to wear something with their logo on the back, so just wear what they give you. Belts are another place that you don't have to spend a ton of money. Now, I have some belts that are north of $100. You know, they're great, they're you know, beautifully made and all that stuff, but there are companies out there that are making work belts, full grain, thick leather, brass hardware, made in the USA work belts for like 50 bucks. That's all you need to keep your pants up and not wear out extremely fast. That's what I would suggest going with, not one of these fancy artisanal makers. Those are fine for casual, but not for work. Here's the criteria that I use to determine this list. If it keeps you safe and it's not issued to you from your company, spend on it. Number 2, if it supports you all day, whether that's a good pair of boots or a decent piece of outerwear that keeps you protected, spend. And number 3, if it's a pain to fix or replace during a shift and it's gonna make you have to stop and get something new or even leave for the day, spend money because you can't afford the downtime. So that means boots, socks, base layers, pants for rough work, good outerwear if you need it, and comfortable PPE are the places that you can spend. Almost everything else is just decoration. But I wanna hear from you. Is there a piece of kit that has made your life a lot easier? Please let me know, because that kind of stuff really helps out other people who may be looking in the comments, just getting into the trades or looking to up their game. I'm very thankful that you share your knowledge in the comment section with us, and that's a great resource. So if you're watching this video, I hope you scroll down there and check that out as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.